So a couple of things about that. Jeff, who runs the awards, is the most passionate gamer I've ever met. He gets so much shit, but he's like super, super, super passionate. It's extraordinary how much he pours his like love and heart and soul into games. It's quite crazy. And so he was the one that really pushed for it. He was like, oh, we really want to do this like musical performance for video games and we'd love to have you do some Doom tracks. And so we worked it out with Bethesda and things like that. And by then we really didn't have much time to put it together. And of course, when you're coming on to do anything like this, you have these like big grand ideas, but that stuff didn't happen. But what I wanted to do, which we got pretty close to, was have like a history of id Software games kind of represented on stage. And so I reached out to Sonic Mayhem, Sasha, who I'd met a couple of times, but he did Quake 2, and he did Quake 2 when he was like 21 years old or something, right? Yeah. And I was like, dude, could you do the synth lines for me on stage? That would be just the most amazing thing if like, you know, we've got you on stage playing that sort of stuff. That'd be cool. And thankfully he said yes, which was great. And then originally I reached out to Chris Vrenna to do the drums. Chris was drummer for Nine Inch Nails for many, many years, and he did the Doom 3 theme. And I thought it'd be so cool if, like, while we were doing the stuff, we had the guy that did the Doom 3 stuff on drums, and we had the guy that did the Quake 2 stuff and things on synths. Like, that'd be just the best thing. Sadly, Chris was, like, super tied up in Chicago, and he couldn't get across. So I reached out to Matt Halpern from Periphery, because I knew he could nail the parts just perfectly. Thankfully, he said yes. And then we all flew into LA. I had to fly all the way from Australia. Those guys came from different parts of the US. And we had like a day of rehearsals to put it together, which is pretty normal. That's actually pretty generous, to be honest. But what was cool about that is we went to this amazing rehearsal facility, which is like a compound of massive stages in warehouses. I think there was like 16 giant warehouses out in this like area. And in each warehouse is a big show that's putting their show together. That's where they do it. So that's where they build the stages and they build all the lighting and they get all the rehearsals and things done. So we were slotted in between. I think we had U2 on the left and Lady Gaga on the right. Oh, and there's us three rocking into this like huge warehouse. And we set some stuff up and played through it a couple of times. What's cool about that facility is that they have this amazing backline facility where they have any piece of equipment you can imagine. So you can build your like Frankenstein drum kit and this crazy like amps that you want or any like set of microphones. And you're like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then they package it all up into a truck and then boom, off you go out on tour. It's the most amazing service. It's really cool. So we did our rehearsals there and then, did the show. I remember I purposely wanted it to feel a bit chaotic, right? And, award shows have this bit of a tradition of being a bit conservative and a bit contrived and a bit like that sort of thing. And it was very much like, here is your marked X on the stage, stand there and play and don't do anything else, right? Don't move. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, no worries, we'll do this. And the reason they do that is so they can set their 20 cameras up on you, they can set all their 200 lights and have that pointed at you and everything looks great, right? And so we did like 3 rehearsals on stage with all the camera crew to make sure they had everything good for the night. This is the day of the performance, by the way. And I made sure for the 3 rehearsals, I stood there really stoic and just sort of played the parts and then finished and that was it, right? And then I have a bit of a rat bag nature, if you haven't noticed. And I knew that the moment... what I was planning would be that like the moment that the performance started, I'd go a bit mad with it. And that's what I did, right? The curtains went up and we got the cue, 5 seconds to start, and the countdown happened. Jeff introduced us. I played the opening riff and I took a beeline to my left and went, ran over to the left side of stage and then back over to the right side of stage and just kept doing that. And what was cool about that is that the camera people and the lighting people had no idea that I was going to do that. And they really didn't want me to do it. So that's why they're kind of like chasing the camera around. And that's why it looks a little bit more chaotic than it actually was. Yeah.
But anyway, it still works out well. I mean, and you feed off the audience, right? And they were loving it. So
it's really funny actually, because the audience there, I can't remember which part I think it was part of BFG division, and I ran down to the center of the stage and there was literally a girl standing in the front row and she was there on a phone like this. And you can see it on the video.
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, you can see it on the video. I kind of kneel down and I start like poking my tongue out at her while I'm playing and she's just there on her phone. The funniest thing, man. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Another funny story about that one, right? So there was a performance from Ray Shamerd there, right? There was Run the Jewels, Ray Shamerd, and us, I think, were the musical performances of the night. And while we were backstage, there was this huge amount of smoke that was coming out from underneath of the door of the Ray Shamerd green room. Just ridiculous levels of smoke, right? And it was so much so that like they had dogs and things coming out the back there to do like some sniffing and stuff like that. It was pretty like insane levels of smoke that was happening. And anyway, Hideo Kojima was out the back there as well. He was kind of walking around and all that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I spoke to somebody who knew him afterwards, the audio director, Ludwig, and he said he thought, Kojima thought that it was us all smoking up, like the Doom guys. He thought the Doom guys were like so crazy we were like smoking up in our little green room before the performance.
Of course, that would fit the stereotype, wouldn't it?